Okay, Jeff.
It's called for 8:30, John, not for 8:31.
Okay. So noted, Mr. Chair.
I'm glad I'm ready. Good morning, Mr. Chair.
Good morning, everybody. First, I'd like to wish everybody a happy St. Patrick's Day and hope there's no snakes where you are. Tomorrow, Friday, March 18th, is National Transit Driver Appreciation Day, and I'd like to acknowledge both our Port Authority drivers and our access drivers. First item on the agenda is a roll call. So first, I'd like to start with committee members. Jessica?
Here.
Ann?
Here.
Stephanie?
Here.
Are there any other board members present? Please identify yourself by name.
Michelle Smianik.
Jen Liptak.
Jeff Letwin.
Anyone else? Saying none. Okay, first item on the agenda is approval of the February 17th, 2022 Planning Stakeholders Relations Committee minutes. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Seeing no corrections, do I have a motion to approve as submitted?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Next item is the April 2022 plan service changes. I'm not sure if Philip, are you in the room? And by the way, I think you've probably been welcomed back by a bunch of different people, but welcome back.
Good morning, Chair Tague. This is David Huffaker, Chief Development Officer. Philip is in the room. He's going to do his presentation, but I just wanted to take a moment to reintroduce Philip to the board. Philip is our Director of Transit Scheduling. He had been in a similar role previously, left to go down to Florida, and we're very happy to welcome him back. And he's coming, of course, at a very busy time for us. So let me just let him jump right in and start talking about the April service change. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Good morning, committee members. I am Philip St. Pierre, Director of Transit Scheduling. Today, I'm going to review the April 24th, 2022 service changes. And the first changes that I'm going to discuss today is the schedule adjustment changes. These are typically travel time adjustments within the schedule or adjusting trip start times and end times. So the weekday schedules that were adjusted for the April change is the Route 6 Spring Hill, the Route 8 Perrysville, the Route 15 Charles, the Route 20 Kennedy, the Route 64 Lawrenceville Waterfront, Route P67 Monroeville Flyer. And those were for the weekday changes. For daily schedules, for all 7 days of the week, the schedules were adjusted for the Route 11 Fineview, the Route 74 Homewood Squirrel Hill, and the Route 75 Ellsworth. There are a couple minor adjustments to the routings. The Route 2 Mount Royal route. When we implemented the weekend service for this route, we built the route to go through the Strip District on the weekends. Our planning staff did an analysis to look at the ridership to see how productive that was. The changes were right before the pandemic started, so we haven't seen a lot of productivity for going through the Strip District. So we are going to adjust the weekend routing to match the weekday routing, and that's going to be via the East Ohio Street and 9th Street Bridge going into downtown. There is a minor routing adjustment for the Route 28X Airport Flyer. There's going to be 2 trips, one in the morning and one in the afternoon, that are going to be direct to and from the airport, and we're calling this the Flyer Direct. So it's not going to service Robinson Town Center like the other trips on the 28X. And also the outbound trips are returning to Boulevard of the Allies due to the end of construction that was impacting that route, and it was operating on 5th. The route and some additional routing adjustments. The route piece or the Route 69 Trafford service will be restored going all the way to Trafford, so that will provide a connection from Trafford all the way into downtown. Due to our agreement with Haymaker Village to utilize their property as a layover location for that route. And also the Route P2 East Busway Short, the service will resume into downtown circulation that matches the P1. We were doing a test to shorten the route at Penn Park, but we found that we're going to return it to continue into downtown utilizing the Smithfield at 6 super stop. Some additional routing adjustments. The McKeesport Transportation Center will be reopening. I believe there is a ribbon cutting set up for today, but it's planned to be operational this Sunday on March 20th. The routes that are going to return to utilize that center is going to be the Route 60 Walnut Crawford Village, the Route 61C, the McKeesport Homestead, and the Route P7 McKeesport Flyer. So those routes will return to utilizing that center upon the reopening. But we will formalize those changes, and it will be on a detour basis now, but we will formalize those changes with the April 24th, 22 service change. We do have frequency adjustments for routes. This is mainly based on ridership. We've been evaluating our ridership levels, and we're going to try to match our service levels to our ridership levels. And so those changes that we do have quite a few frequency adjustments. Some have been improved, some have been have minor reductions. The first one I'm going to talk about is the Route 8 Perrysville. We added 1 morning trip and 1 afternoon trip to provide additional service to Perry High School. We anticipate with the return of school that we were going to get additional riders. This was a suggestion from one of our scheduled committees at one of the divisions. So that improves the morning and the afternoon peak slightly to about 15-minute frequency. The Route 12 weekday frequency in the very early morning and some in the afternoon peak, and then in the late evening, the frequencies have been reduced to approximately 45 minutes, and then the PM peak is between 30 to 40 minutes. Saturday service has been reduced. In the very early morning, it will be about 35 minutes. For the morning, midday, and afternoon will be about 25 minutes, and the late evening will be about 35-minute frequency. So some frequency adjustments on Saturday. Same thing on Sunday, but typically in the midday to afternoon to the late evenings, some minor frequency reductions for the 12 on Sunday. The Route 13, the late evening service has been reduced to about 30 to 60 minutes between some trips. The 16 Brighton midday service has been reduced to about 25 minutes frequency, and the late evening has been reduced to approximately 35-minute frequency. The Route 29 Robinson has been reduced to about 50-minute frequency throughout the entire day. As you could see in the midday and late evening, that is actually an improvement in our frequency compared to what we're operating right now. The 31 Bridgeville has been established to be 35-minute frequency all day long, and that is an improvement in frequency for the midday and evening as well for that route. The 59 Mon Valley has been established to be 40 minutes all day long, and that's a little bit of a frequency improvement for the very early and late evening service. The 67 Monroeville, this route was reduced in frequency because of the return of the Route 69 to Trafford. So we're returning the frequencies back to the previous frequencies that this route was operating before the Route 69 was shortened to not include Trafford. But that is a frequency reduction for the Route 67 throughout the day. The G2 West Busway route, peak service has been reduced to 20 minutes, and the frequency for that route will be 20 minutes all day long. And that is a bit of an improvement in the late evening. The P1 East Busway has been slightly reduced in the peaks, the AM and afternoon, the morning and afternoon peaks, by just a few minutes for that service, but it has been improved to 15 minutes in the early morning service. The P2 East Busway Short has been slightly reduced to be 20 minutes when it operates in the morning service. And we have one additional outbound morning trip added to the P12 Holiday Park flyer. And that concludes my briefing today on the April 24th, 2022 service changes, and I will be able to answer any questions that you may have.
Are there any questions of committee members? Are there any, if not, are there any questions of other board members? I do have a couple questions. One, first, I saw a tweet last night. This doesn't have anything to do with that, but on the Red Line shuttle, can you address any of that? It was supposed to be, what my understanding was, there was no shuttle after 7:30 last night. Can you address that at all?
Yes, I did see that tweet as well, but I will talk to operations to see if we can submit information on that. But I don't have any other further information at this time. But yeah, I'll talk to operations.
Thank you. And I'm going on the assumption these adjustments for April based on full staffing of drivers. Is that right?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question again?
No, I'm assuming that the changes in April are predicated on having a full complement of drivers. Is that right?
The April changes does reduce our total required number of operators needed for scheduled work by about 30 operators. So it does reduce our operator needs from our scheduled work. Our hope by reducing the total number of runs needed for the scheduled work is to put more operators on the extra board. And yes, these changes were planned far in advance, in advance of the vaccine mandate. So we are, continuing to stay up to date on what the vax mandate operator levels will be, so that we can look forward to the future service changes. But this service change, yes, it does take into account that we needed to reduce service a little bit to match our operator levels, so that we can improve our service reliability.
Thank you, Philip. Are there any stakeholders in the room that have any questions of Philip?
Okay.
Seeing none, thank you very much, Philip. And again, welcome back to the authority. We missed you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, I have a motion to adjourn, so meeting will stand in adjournment until next month. Thank you very much, committee members and board members, for joining us. Next up.
Thanks. We'll get the Finance Committee started in just a second. Minute. Okay, I'd like to call to order the Finance Committee for March 17th, 2022. The first item on our agenda is the roll call. And so before we address other items, I'd like to start by taking a roll call of the members of this committee. Jen Liptak.
Present.
Representative Davis. And I heard earlier this morning that Jerry DeLon will not be present. Are there any other board members present? If so, please identify yourselves by name.
Jeff Letwin.
John Tagg.
Stephanie Terman.
Michelle Smianik.
Jessica Walls-Lavelle.
Thank you. All right, the next agenda item is approval of the minutes of the February 17th Finance Committee meeting. Are there any comments or revisions to those meeting minutes? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, the minutes have been approved. All right, our only resolution today is authorization to enter into a designated service agreement with Carlow University. Kelsey.
Good morning, Madam Committeewoman and committee members. I'm Kelsey Shannon, Director of Business and Corporate Relations. And before you today is a resolution that would authorize Port Authority to enter into a designated service agreement with Carlow University. I have up here right now on the slide our current agreement with the universities, Pitt, Chatham, and CMU that we just entered into the fall, just so I can show you that the new resolution that's before you reflects what's here. So this new resolution will be for 4 years, whereas this resolution was for 5 years, so that year 2 of this agreement will match year 1 of the agreement now. That was a little convoluted, so please, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. But so right here, you'll see that in year 1, 60% of the base fare per tap with the 3% escalators each year for 5 years. Therefore, in the current agreement, go to the next slide. Thank you. It will, during a pilot period, it will reflect that same year 1, the 60% tap per 60% of base fare per tap. And when the actual year 1 of this agreement starts, it will be 63%, which will reflect the same of the other agreements. Therefore, all the universities will be at the same amount at the same time. And this resolution also has a definition of what a university is in there. Therefore, if any other universities come to us within this calendar year, we can easily get them the same deal as the other universities there. And with that, with that said, subject to any questions that the members may have, I respectfully request that the Finance Committee recommend this resolution.
Okay. Any questions of the committee? Any questions of other board members? Okay, do I have a motion to?
Hold on a second, Anna. I just had a quick question. Sorry, I was on mute. Where do we stand with Robert Morris and Duquesne? Do you have any update on that?
Sure. I am currently in conversations with both Duquesne and Point Park. Robert Morris has not indicated interest yet, but I am glad to have that conversation with any universities, eligible universities.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, do I have a motion to move this resolution for the board's consideration next week?
So moved.
I'll second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, our final agenda item is a review of the February 2022 financial statements. Pete.
Good morning, Madam Chair and other board members. So reviewing the February 22 financial results, our total operating income was $4.3 million in February, which was $3.9 million below budget. It was $93,539 above our January levels, and that was principally due to higher advertising revenue. Total operating income for the fiscal year is $30.35 million below budget, and that is being made up, or just a way of the fiscal 22 budget was set at the pre-pandemic level, so it is to be expected that it was going to be below budget. And as I've mentioned at previous monthly meetings, we are using ARPA funding to offset that shortfall in passenger revenue. From a operating expense perspective, our total operating expense for the month was $4.2 million below budget, and that was due to lower materials and supplies, purchase services, and employee benefits. Our total operating expenses continue to trend below budget and are $33.9 million below budget for the fiscal year. From a subsidy perspective, for the month, we were $208,238 below budget, and that was due to lower Access 5310 subsidy. Our total subsidy for our fiscal year is $4.2 million below budget, and that was principally due to a timing issue with the state operating assistance and also lower vehicle overhaul subsidy invoicing. From a year-over-year perspective, fiscal 22 versus fiscal 21, our total operating income is $12.04 million above last fiscal year, and that is due to higher passenger revenues, Access shared ride revenue, and also advertising revenue. Expenses are $4.2 million higher than last fiscal year, and that's due to higher wages and salaries, other expense, and also Access expense is higher than fiscal 21. Our total subsidy year over year is $3.5 million higher than last fiscal year. Our local drink tax subsidy is ahead of last fiscal year's levels. And also our federal stimulus invoicing subsidy is $3.8 million ahead of last fiscal year's pace. And just to update the board, our federal stimulus invoicing year to date is currently at $28.2 million. And that's on top of the $105.4 million that we invoiced for both combined for fiscal years 2020 and 2021. From our operating reserves, we began the month of February with $158.8 million in operating reserves. We had cash inflows of $47.8 million from both passenger revenue and grant subsidies. We had cash outflows for the month of $37.6 million for salary and wages, materials and supplies, and purchase services. So at the end of February, the authority had operating reserves of $169 million. Can I answer any questions regarding the financials for February?
Any questions of the committee? Any other board members with questions? Thank you, Pete.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
All right, that concludes our agenda for today. Do I have a motion to adjourn? I'll make. Thank you. All right, we stand adjourned and we'll see everyone in April. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Michelle Smianek, and welcome to the Performance Oversight Committee meeting this morning. Our first item of business will be roll call. Representative Austin Davis, are you present? Representative Magorski, are you present? Lori, are you here? Okay, I thought I heard Lori earlier. And then do we have any other board members that are with us this morning?
Jeff Letwin.
John Tagg.
Jen Liptak.
Ann O'Gorick.
Thank you very much. Our next item of business will be the approval of our meeting minutes for the February 17th Performance Oversight Committee. Do I have any changes or corrections that need to be made to the minutes?
Looks like you're going to need me to do this. I'll move to approve.
I will, and I thank you for that, Mr. Letwin. Thank you. Could I please have a motion to approve?
That was it.
Second.
That was it? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Very good. Motion's approved. Thank you. Our next item of business is our proposed resolutions. Our first one for awarding of bids, we have Mr. Trona. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Madam Chair.
Excuse me, Mr. Cronin, before you, I just want to acknowledge Madam Chair Austin Davis is here. I came in a few minutes late.
Very good. Thank you, Austin.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Trona, we're ready.
Thank you. I have 6 items for your review and presentation to the full board for approval. All of our bids have been advertised and our e-business documents were distributed. The first is Icon M units overhaul. This is a sole source procurement. Port Authority of Allegheny County light rail system currently utilizes 81 light rail vehicles, all of which utilize the same propulsion system that includes core operating system component known as Icon-M unit. The propulsion system includes other components that was originally designed and manufactured by the proprietary to Bombardier Transportation. Based on the unique rail configuration and topography of the authority's light rail system, the integrity of the proper functioning of the propulsion system is imperative for the safe operating system of the LRVs. Due to the age and to ensure continued proper and safe functioning, the propulsion system on the authority's LRVs, the authority has determined that it is necessary to enter into an agreement with Bombardier to provide the parts, software, and related equipment services to overhaul the units. The units are proprietary to Bombardier and they do not license third parties to maintain the overhaul of the units. Bombardier is the only entity able to complete the overhaul work. It's our recommendation that we award a sole source contract to Bombardier Transportation in the amount not to exceed $4,546,476. Number 2, drop table, South Hills Village Rail Center. 3 firms accepted our invitation. 2 bids were received for the purchase of a replacement drop table at South Hills Village Rail Center used to maintain the authority's LRV fleet. It's our recommendation that the contract be awarded to the low responsible bidder, which was BBM Railway Equipment, LLC, estimated amount $915,450. There's been no recent purchase of this item. However, the staff has determined that the price was fair and reasonable. The third, equipment cleaner. 6 firms accepted our invitation. 4 bids were received for this equipment cleaner used in the maintenance of the authority's coach fleet over a 2-year period. The low bidder submitted products which were not in compliance with the specifications regarding the rate of product flow and therefore not eligible for award. So our recommendation that the contract be awarded to the low responsive bidder, WW Granger Inc., estimated amount $1,032,000. This price represents a 5% increase over the previous contracted price for these items 2 years ago. EcoLink, their bid was $801,000. So the difference to put the award from the bidder that we could not accept was roughly $400,000. The other bidders in the range, their prices range from $1.16 million to $1.47 million. Number 4 is TWC antennas for the LRV. 2 firms accepted the invitation. 1 bid was received for the purchase of these, purchase of train to wayside communication antennas and test sets. So a recommendation the contract be awarded to Hanning Call LP, estimated amount of $162,540. This price represents a 16% increase over the previous contract for these items 2 years ago. Number 5 is coach radiator assemblies. 3 firms accepted the invitation. 3 bids were received for the purchase of these assemblies over a 2-year period. So our recommendation that the contract be awarded to the low responsive bidders, Kirk's Automotive, estimated amount of $262,080. Aftermarket parts, estimated amount of $249,962.25. This price represents a 50% increase over the previous contract for these items 2 years ago. Number 6 is transit replacement parts for cooling. 5 firms accepted the invitations, 5 bids were received. For these replacement parts to maintain the authority's coach fleet over a 2-year period. We're awarding the contract to the low responsive bidders. CBM US Inc., $187,068. Cummins, estimated amount $52,592.10. And Gillig, estimated amount $217,049.95. This price represents a 15% increase over the previous contracted for these items over 1 year ago. That concludes my report. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Trona. I realize that with some of the occurrences that we have increases in prices for item number 5 for the coach radiator assemblies. Do we have an idea of why there's a 50% increase for it?
Yes, in talking with the vendors, the rise in labor cost, transportation cost, overhead cost, the rate of inflation, and we're seeing this across all contracts, not just the ones that we're introducing at these meetings, but the inflation rate is just, it's been off the charts.
Yeah, most of them, what I'm seeing is at least a minimum of 15% with some of them. That seems pretty much across the board, but I just had to question the 50%.
Yes.
Are there any other committee members that have questions for Mr. Trona? Any other board members that are on the call that have a question for Mr. Trona? Hearing no questions for Mr. Trona, could I have a motion to move this forward to full board?
So moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Great. Motion carries. Thank you very much, Mr. Trona.
You're welcome.
With our second proposed resolution this morning, we have authorization to award construction contract for the South Busway Rehabilitation Project. Mr. Greg O'Hare. Good morning, Mr. O'Hare. How are you?
Good morning. This resolution seeks authorization to award the construction contract for SYS 2201 for the South Busway Rehabilitation Project. The scope of work for this project is crack and seat concrete pavement, asphalt pavement, concrete curb, guide rail, ADA ramp at Edgebrook Avenue stop, bridge restoration on 3 bridges along the South Busway, bridge painting on 1 bridge on the South Busway, as well as intersection improvements at the terminus of the South Busway at Glenberry Avenue. We intend to complete the construction activities using single alternating lane traffic control with flaggers, as well as temporary signals and weekend busway closures for the final wearing surface. The estimated contract duration is 450 calendar days, so approximately 15 months. The responsive low bidder is Lindy Paving Incorporated with a bid of $6,693,000, $693,326.40. Next slide, please. Thank you. So it's just to orient everyone to the where the South Busway is. Obviously, it's in the South Hills area of Pittsburgh. You can see on the left-hand side, highlighted in yellow, highlights where the South Busway is after it goes through the Mount Washington Transit Tunnel. On the right-hand side is a blown-up picture of that area there. The blue and green line is the South Busway. The area that we'll be working in is approximately 1.6 miles, highlighted in green. That's the limits of the South Busway Rehabilitation Project, as well as the intersection at the terminus of the South Busway by Glenberry Avenue. The original portion of the South Busway was built in 1975. That is the green highlighted portion. It's in poor condition and in need of rehabilitation. Next slide, please. And here's just a few pictures of the South Busway. As you can see, there's a significant amount of patching that's been done over the years. And you can also see in the bottom left-hand picture, which is pretty consistent throughout the South Busway, a lot of concrete curb is spalled out or deteriorated, missing with rebar showing. This is just a general picture of the condition in the South Busway, just demonstrating the poor condition and the need for rehabilitation. With that, pending any questions, respectfully request the committee to move the resolution to the full board for consideration.
Thank you, Mr. O'Hare. Any board members have questions? Any committee members? I should have asked first, forgive me. Any questions from either board or committee for Mr. O'Hare?
Thank you very much for taking care of the ADA ramp at the Edgewood stop.
Hearing no questions, could I have a motion to move this forward to the full board, please?
So moved.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries to the full board meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Hare. Our next agenda item is report of the audit of the financial year 2021 modified physical inventory with Hadiza Buhan. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The Internal Audit Department is here to present the results of our audit of the internal control for the fiscal year 2021 physical inventory. The modified inventory was due to the COVID-19 pandemics, and the procurement department opted to perform a modified inventory to only count 15% of the inventory items over 2%. We conducted this modified audit based on generally accepted governmental auditing standards, and for details you can refer to the report. The inventory count was coordinated by the Purchasing and Materials Management Department, and the purpose was to make sure the on-hand quantities for each inventory items is accurately counted and also recorded on the PeopleSoft system. The scope was for fiscal year 2021 modified fiscal inventory. The objectives of the audit was to determine the adequacy of internal controls that are related
The system has detected that a few lines are still
to the actual count. And the scope of the audit was a fiscal year 2021 inventory. The details of our methodology can be found on the actual report. And also we observed the process was we observed the employees from procurement count their inventory, and then we statistically selected a sample and did our own test. We did this at the Manchester, South Hills Village, South Hills Junction, and also the auto shops locations. In addition to that, we judgmentally selected a sample of on-hand quantities and verified their accuracy at the Ross and West Mifflin Garage location. And by doing this, we independently verified the count based on our sample. We also assisted the procurement department with resolving any discrepancies that may have come up during the count. So in general, the count was concluded in a manner that provides us with a reasonable assurance that the inventory items were accurately counted, and also any adjustments to the on-hand quantities were accurately recorded in PeopleSoft. We sampled a test, we selected a sample, a statistical sample, and also verified the accuracy of the count to give us a margin of error of plus or minus 5%. And this also is to give us an accuracy rate of 94.5%. In addition, we also judgmentally selected a sample again and counted to verify the accuracy of the count itself. Some of the strength we noted for the audit, there were appropriate COVID-19 related precautions were implemented to ensure the safety of all the employees that were involved in the count. The individual count was completed by the counters with an accuracy of a 94.5% rate. We also we are pleased to note that for this audit, there were no observations, advisory, or comments. Also, part of our procedure is to follow up on any prior finding that we may have, and we are pleased to note that there were none for the previous audit. And that concludes the presentation.
Very good.
Any
Thank
questions?
you for the report. Thank you so much. I have no
Thank you.
questions for you. Members of the committee have questions for Ms. Buhan? Any other board members on the call have questions? Okay, hearing no questions, I want to thank you for the excellent presentation and the information on the slide. So thank you very much for the work of the team, quite excellent. And I also neglected to say thanks to Mr. O'Hare for the photos of the South Busway. So that's really helpful whenever we see photos of construction work that will take place. That concludes our business for this morning, and I am going to ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved. And I thank you so much, everyone. Have a good day.
Hello, and thank you. Since the adjournment of the Performance and Oversight Committee, I'd like to call the meeting of the Technology Committee to order. First on my agenda is to do a roll call. I believe it's just me who is here, and then Representative Ms. Gorski, are you on the line still? Okay, I apologize if I misspoke there. I apologize for that. Can any other board members identify themselves who are still on the line for the committee meeting, please?
Jeff Letwin.
John Tagg.
Michelle Smianik.
Ann O'Gorick.
Austin Davis.
Okay. All right, moving on. So the first item of business, I'm going to need a motion to approve the minutes of January 20th of 2022. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
And second. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, the first, the awarding of the bids. Mr. Devlin, are you going to take care of this?
I'll take care of it, Madam Chair. Anthony Trona. I have one item for your review and presentation to the full board for approval. The first is video wall equipment.
Mr. Trona, I apologize for not recognizing you directly because you know you're one of my favorites, so I apologize. Please continue.
I thought I was your favorite.
Thank you, ma'am. The first is video wall equipment. This is a CoStarz procurement. The Commonwealth Pennsylvania Department of General Services is a cooperative purchasing program and awarded a theater, furniture, fixtures, audiovisual equipment contract to Visual Sound Inc. And the authority wishes to make a purchase under the same terms and conditions of the CoStarz contract number 034-023 and 034-E22-123. The authority will purchase new equipment, video wall equipment, including install, as well as a 1-year extended warranty. The fully integrated replacement of our current video equipment wall system interfaces with the Hitachi rail system that outputs and displays the control and the monitor of our LRT system. It's our recommendation that we authorize a contract under the same terms and conditions to Visual Sound Inc. an estimated amount of $800,775.32. That concludes my report. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Trona. Are there any questions from any board members? Seeing none, I will ask for a motion for approval.
So moved.
And may I have a second, please? I will
Second.
second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Before we move on to the presentation, I have a compliment for the IT and of course the whole Port Authority team, because we are one team together, even though one division I think deserves a little bit more this time, because I've received many compliments most recently about how great the Wi-Fi is on the subway, on their T system, but specifically when you go under the river. So great job. I think that that's a nice amenity for a lot of people, calming stress relief, just being able to feel like they can communicate with people, et cetera. So I've received mostly lately a few compliments about that. So just want to pass that on to the team. Great job. So please, Mr. Devlin, would you move forward with your presentation?
Yes, thank you very much. Actually, I'm going to recognize the engineering group because they actually are the ones that spearheaded that project about 4.5 years ago. So I'll take the credit, but it's really the engineering folks. So I did want to wish everyone a happy St. Patrick's Day.
Everyone's work on that.
Yep. I did want to wish everyone a happy St. Patrick's Day. Unfortunately, my red hair has abated with age, so make believe it's red there. So I also want to thank the committee for moving the equipment project forward for our OCC Center. If you remember back in January, I brought you the programming component of that project. It's great to see the equipment piece now moving forward. This is a long needed upgrade out there at OCC, so we're excited to get the traction there. So what I like to do at least once, maybe twice a year, is just bring to your attention what we call our technology work plan that we set out every year. Many of these items roll year to year because they're really multi-year projects, but I did want to kind of alert you what's on our key project plan this year. So as you can imagine, fare collection improvements is front and center for us with the mobile ticketing services that we started implementing, oh my goodness, 3 odd years ago now. We're finally getting further traction on the rail side of that, with the bus having been activated last August. We're hoping to get the rail system installed later this summer and get that activated as quickly as possible in mobile ticketing. And the next one is what we call station digital communications. And we have some of this out on the system now, where we have large TV display screens and true time information. We're working now to map out this plan. It'll take a good 2 to 3 years to get this all done, so we can get more signage on our busways and our other larger stations around the system. The next one is vehicle parking info, and this is a good project for the team. And we actually started this in the before times also, where we wanted to enable folks coming to park and rides to know how many vehicle spaces are available in any park and ride before they get there, so that they're not driving around a completely full lot. So we'll keep moving on this project. We have 1 lot done right now, and we hope to do 1 or 2 more later this summer. The fourth one is called remote head sign management. And the head signs on all of our buses right now have to be manually updated, and it's a very intensive process if we ever need to make a change to the information going to those head signs. So about 2/3 of our newer buses have the ability for us to remotely send the head sign information to them. And we really need this ultimately for the disruption management, the detour management project. So this project is a precursor side project with the detour disruption management, so that the team can remotely update those head sign informations when they come back to the garages with the information they might need. Are there any questions on those first 4 projects?
No.
So the next one is operational radio. I'm sorry, did I cut off? No, operational radio communications. So these are the radios that are on our buses and our rails. And also, like the OCC project I mentioned earlier, another one that is long in need of an upgrade. They're working well for today, but we need to plan for the obsolescence of this functionality here. So this will be another multi-year project. Capital and project planning is one that we're working on internally to help us improve our process. I see Greg O'Hare shaking his head over there. As we work through how we manage our capital projects and the funding they're in, we need some better software and databases. So the team is helping engineering and finance on how they manage those capital projects. Number 7 is the OCC systems and video wall that we mentioned earlier, and you will take the equipment to the full board this month. PCI compliance and information security. So PCI means payment card information compliance, and that is really making sure that our credit cards that folks use on our ticket vending machines or in customer service center are appropriately protected as they cross over the internet and go to the banking systems. And information security is a top-notch issue for pretty much all of us in the world today. And then safety dashboard. So part of our safety and security group's requirements for their safety audit, Mike Setcher, help me with the exact name, PTASP? For Public Transportation Agency Safety Plan, is that we develop a dashboard of data relating to safety. So we'll be working with the safety and police folks over the next year or two on developing that service out. I'm sorry, any questions on those 5? Okay, I'm going to take it home then. 5 more to go. So Oracle EPM. So we run the PeopleSoft ERP right now for finance and HR. This is another module that has been requested to be added, and this is really focused on budget management, budget preparations, budget book. It removes some really old reporting functions that weren't working very well, but it's really focused on helping us improve our internal budget process and budget preparations. Fleet management is a big one for us. This is really helping the maintenance group. We have a legacy system that's a good 12 to 15 years old. So basically the software development team is rewriting that based on the current needs to help the maintenance group manage warranty tracking, asset tracking, things like that within the fleet side. Critical systems tabletopping is one I'm excited about. And I really want to thank the safety department, Bart Jennings, Director of Safety, and Chief of Police, Matt Porter, and with their help, because they really have a lot of experience in tabletopping. And that's where you take an emergency and you practice it so that when an actual emergency happens, you've already run through those. And I know they've run a couple over the past few years from a safety and security perspective. The ones we're going to do this year, we have 2 lined up, and one's coming up soon, but I'm not allowed to say the date. And these will be if we had a critical failure of our data center, and another one would be if we had a information security cyber attack hitting us. So I'm excited to see these happen. These are really important functions for an IT group to do. So not fun, but you have to do it, right? Inventory management is one internal. We just want to make sure we keep good track of all of our assets that the public has enabled us to provide here from a technology perspective, be it computers, laptops, TV screens, et cetera. And then we always add process improvement on the end because we have a lot of areas here where we're always looking to see what we can do to help things move along further, whether it's digital signatures or internal processes or whatever. So we always include a project to do any kind of process improvement that different areas would come up. So those are the 14 projects I wanted to bring to your attention here today. Are there any questions about those?
Any questions from board members? The only comment I will make is you guys seem very busy, which I like. And again, I appreciate all the work that your team and the rest of the team has done to continue to improve the technology of the Port Authority system, which has a great impact on our end users. So thank you. If there's no other issues to be brought forth or questions from the committee members, I'll take a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Okay, meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone. That concludes our committee meetings for today. Happy St. Patrick's Day, coming from an Irish girl whose last name was originally McMahon. Hope everyone has a great day and a nice weekend. Goodbye.
We do have the ribbon cutting of the cheese party.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I got anything about it, other than I know it's at 2:00.